All right, what's going on? Today we're going to talk a little bit about getting more confident in what we're doing in life, in our business, in our health. Um, you know, One of the things that I want to talk about first. Well, first, let me start by saying this. I want to apologize because I just was looking at the data and I figured out that I'm doing way more short form content instead of long form. So I'm gonna be doing a lot more long form content just to give y'all the game, share with y'all all the stuff that I learned along the way and stuff that I'm currently learning. So anyway, you're gonna be seeing a lot more of me when in regards to just long form content so I can really help y'all out. But just want to talk to y'all a little bit about confidence because that's kind of what I've been thinking about. And as long as I can remember, I've been pretty confident individual all the way from when I was younger, all the way to now my adulthood. And y'all know I'm a family man and got kids and leading the family, leading the wife, and everything. So um, one of the biggest things that confidence comes from is really just reps, like practice on top of practice on top of practice. And when I think back on like when we first come into this earth, right? When we first come into the world as babies, we don't know anything, and everything is learned behavior, right? So it took a lot of practice and a lot of reps for us to be confident in whatever we were learning. So if you think back when you were a kid, or if you've ever seen like the videos or pictures when you were younger, or your kids now, you'll see that they start off saying "goo goo gaga," right? Or they don't know how to stand up. So every time they stand up, they do this whole wobbly motion and then they fall. But then over time, they're able to make out a word and they're like, mama, or in most people's cases, they say da first, right? And that's the very first thing that they learn how to say. Same thing with learning how to walk. Before they even learn how to walk, they learn how to kind of balance first before they topple over. But they topple over countless numbers of time. But that encouragement that comes from their parents or their guardians or whatever the case, it encourages them to keep trying, right? To keep standing up. And then before they know it, they build up some strength. They build up some confidence in, hey, if I try to stand up or if I balance on this couch and I fall over, that's going to be okay because the fall isn't that bad. It was scary at first, but I stood up and I fell and it didn't really hurt that much. So then they just keep trying. And then before you know it, their legs get strong enough. So now they're able to stand and they're able to balance themselves. Okay. So you get my point. Very soon after, right? They learn how to get up and they get up and they start walking and they get up and start talking to the point where you fast forward and now you're able to have conversations with this individual. Well, if you think about that, right? If you think about like how we learn certain behaviors even at a young age, it's that same concept that somehow we just forget about as we get older. And it's crazy how as adults, we kind of just forget that. I think we get to a certain place and we get comfortable and we feel like we know enough that we can just be comfortable. And that to me is always the silent trap that not a lot of people talk about. So if you want to build confidence, to put it quite simply, confidence is going to be what comes from just repetition and probably understanding and coming to grips with the fact that, yeah, you're probably going to fall and it's probably going to hurt a little bit, but nowhere near as much as the fear that's in people's head. And I also think that if you expect greatness and if you expect success, right, then you probably are going to reach success and greatness a lot sooner than if you're expecting to fall, fall flat face on your face. So, with that being said, you can think about all of your celebrities, all your influencers, anybody that you look up to that has any kind of status in your life. And if you go back, they all didn't start with this skill or this confidence. So, where did it come from? Well, it started with one simple action, one simple step. And, you hear a lot of people talk about goals and setting goals, but I would rather tell somebody or believe that focusing on the habits is more important than focusing on the goals. Because what I found personally in my life is that the goals create more anxiety, creates more pressure. And what happens is when you don't achieve that goal, if you don't achieve that goal, right, you're a lot harder on yourself. It actually is a deterrent for you to go back and try again or commit to whatever that action was again. But if you just focus on the small habits, that's a lot more achievable. And you don't have that pressure of, oh, I didn't achieve this first time, and so therefore I'm not going to try again. So I would rather say focus on what habits do you want to learn? What habits are the successful people that you would love to be like or love to have, a particular lifestyle that you know about? Because some people you think you want their lives, and then if they ever kept it real with you, you might say, nah, never mind, I don't want that. But that's another conversation for another day. My point is you want to start building certain habits. Okay. So one of the more recent habits for me that was transformational was this rekindle passion of reading. And you can see I got some of my books behind me here, and there's some on the other side of me. But I wouldn't say that I'm the person that loves to read. But what I will say is that in the last 3 years, I've actually enjoyed reading. In fact, I've asked my wife when birthdays and Christmas and other events come up where you get gifts, they say, hey, what do you want for this or that? And I actually say books. And then I'm real specific with what kind of books. Now, I don't like reading the fictional books. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with the people that likes those books because, to each his own. But for me, I like books that actually help me grow as a person, help me grow in a certain area that I'm trying to get better in. And so that's another secret. Like if you want to get better at something, if you want to enhance your skill, which I believe everybody should be enhancing their skill at some point in their life, books is like the number one way to do it. I mean, you could do it through whatever technology that we have now, but I think reading is just does something for the mind that you just can't replace. Just to put it quite simply. So for me, reading is huge. So that was one of the things that I just started. I just told myself that, hey, I want to read at least 3 books a year. And that's a big deal for somebody like me. Now, just a little bit about my background. I'm an athlete or a former athlete who just had aspirations of playing basketball at a professional level. And I wanted to get paid for it. And reading books wasn't something that was required to do that. But I got injured throughout my college career, and I didn't really get a chance to step foot on the court and really play like, I probably deserved to. So I had to learn how to become a student all over again, which involved learning how to enjoy learning. So thankfully, I made that pivot, and it probably was the best decision or best thing that happened. Well, one of the best things that happened to me was getting injured because it challenged me to use my brain to make something or make the most of out of a situation that was quite unfortunate. So in that, I got around some people that would go to the library, and I was like, wait a minute. So you mean to tell me that you go to the library and you actually do work? Like, I thought people just are at school to socialize and go to the clubs on Thursdays and, go to the football games and basketball games or whatever event they got going on, play some 2K. I was a big 2K guy. And I thought that's what college was all about. But then I got around some people that actually took their education serious. And I was like, okay, so there's a whole nother way of thinking here. And so I had to really learn how to become something that I wasn't. Okay. But in the reps, in the reading of the books, in the going to the classes and showing up, and in the actually taking tests seriously and taking homework serious, what I was doing was taking some of those small actions that I'm talking to you about right now. And I didn't realize it at the time, but looking back at it, once I got to the place of getting ready to graduate, I can look back and I say, oh, I was taking the actions and small wins of somebody who wants to graduate. Whereas before, before, when I was just playing ball and I was healthy and all that, I was taking the actions of somebody who didn't really have a clear picture on what they were going to be or what they were going to do in life. And that's the story of so many different athletes. And so I'm really sensitive when it comes to, people talking about, oh, athletes shouldn't, they don't deserve to get paid, or they don't deserve this. And I know I'm kind of rambling on about that, but it is really difficult for athletes to focus on their education and play whatever sport that they want to play at a high level. But anyway, what's going to be helpful for you to know is that do the small actions. Okay, so what does that look like in business? It might mean that you need to post daily content, right? You want to reach a certain group of people, your desired clients, then you need to post information that talks to that individual. Okay, you want to become a better athlete. You need to train and work out probably every day, probably multiple times a day, right? Those are small habits that help you become the prime athlete that you want to become. Same thing in corporate America. There's a lot of people that just work their shift, whether that's 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. But let me tell you, the people that climb that corporate ladder, they may not tell you, but they're doing work oftentimes when they are not on the clock, right? That's where they really, really earn their stripes. So that when you see them the next day, you're just thinking they're just a wealth of knowledge, but really they put in the work outside of when you see them. Okay, so this is no secret. This is nothing new, right? Since the beginning of the time, the people that put in the more hours and the more reps at a particular skill set, those are the ones that win at whatever they're doing. And so it may seem like this person was just naturally blessed with this confidence, but really you're just not seeing the work that is being put in behind the scenes. So you need to ask yourself, is putting in the work something that you want to do? Is it something that you are open to doing? And if so, go all in. Go all in. A lot of people talk about the Mamba mentality. One of the biggest things he talks about is putting all the eggs in your basket, in the basket, right? And you can always create more eggs. I'm paraphrasing, but that's pretty much what he was saying. And so, if you focus in on that one thing before you know it and you look up, you're going to realize that you're really, really efficient in this particular thing. All right. So that's all I wanted to jump on here and talk about. Hey, I'm gonna be going a lot live a lot more often for you all. So if you want to get better in your business, your health, your relationships, okay, this is going to be the channel that you want to subscribe to. Again, I'm Jonathan Merritt, and I'll see y'all and talk to y'all soon. All right, peace.